You good?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Nice. Well, welcome back to the Breaking Ice podcast. Today I got the chance to sit down with Kyle Newhook, my neighbor. And what'd you bring me today?
Well, since I know you grew up in Mexico,
Oh, yeah.
I actually brought you some, and I hope I'm saying this right, reposado.
Reposado.
Yeah. Some
Casa Noble.
Yes.
Noble House Tequila. Reposado. This looks good. You into tequilas?
I am huge into nice tequila. Because obviously...
Well, no. There's some really garbage tequila.
Oh. Yeah. Not the stuff from early days of college.
No, it might have some of the widest berth of like low quality to high quality liquor out there.
I think so. It's probably taken some leaps and bounds in the last I'd say decade.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
What have you been paying attention over the last decade?
I guess I kind of have, because it's one of those things where I think everyone has had the experience with the bad version of tequila.
Yeah.
And
well, so many people are like, "Oh, I can't drink tequila."
Of course.
Yeah.
That's the first thing that comes out of their mouth. No.
Well, no, the tequila does first, and then
Yeah. But they're like instantly, "No, I can't do this. This is already bringing back a sense of sickness or bad decisions," and it's like, that's not what this is anymore.
Okay.
Yeah.
And have you successfully switched someone, like changed someone's mind? Like maybe here, let's put it on this side
sure.
so it doesn't block us. Like someone who was like, "No, I don't do tequila," and then you're like, "No, this is basically not the same thing."
At least once a month.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, well, what should I look for here? Is it like a wine tasting?
I don't know if I'd say necessarily a wine tasting. It should still have some remnants of probably what you remember in a good way and not a bad way. But It's definitely a lot more, I would say, refined, cleaner, not much of no disgusting aftertaste.
Smooth.
No, yeah,
really smooth.
Really smooth,
right.
Really nice, but still, cheers.
Cheers. See, it tastes like tequila, but it doesn't taste like what you think tequila tastes like.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's way more like a nice whiskey or something than like a bad tequila. which
is where exactly it's where they're going.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. So you got quite the tequila collection, or
I try to get out to Mexico at least once every 1 to 2 years, or at least it's been pretty consistent. Mm-hmm. So now every time I go down there, I'm like, what's new, what's fantastic this year. I actually do have a bit of a collection that I started back home. It's gonna, when I finally do build a house, it's gonna go in the bar. Whenever,
the whole collection.
The whole collection.
Do you buy 2 bottles, send one home, and then keep one here?
Sometimes, yes.
Nice.
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah.
So I feel like you have a affinity for the finer things. Where do you think that comes from?
Probably from coming from a place where I never knew the finer things at all.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's like a contrast thing.
Definitely a contrast.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
when did you get into the finer things?
Well, growing up, my father told me we were always comfortably poor.
You can move this around if you like.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. Growing up, we were. It was explained that we always lived comfortably poor, which I kind of I understand a lot more better now.
Yeah.
And
it's like we have food, but we're not saving much money.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Bills are paid. There is food on the table, but it's what we could afford, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So, but not taking anything away from all the hard work that was done to get there, that's for sure.
Oh, of course not.
But then after coming here and then getting established, there's a lot of things that you can do in Norman Wells, but at the same time, there's also a lot that I don't do, and so I get to save money and put it towards making sure that when I do get out, that I try to live. I try to live big when I get out.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, because there's a constraint on high rolling here.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's true, because it's a smaller place. There's less things. There's less access, but that provides you the opportunity to kind of be a little bit more lavish in that time off, and then be more humble. That's not quite the right word.
Yeah. No, I know exactly. Yeah.
can't think of the word, but you know what I mean.
I know exactly what you mean. And the unfortunate part about that too is some of the things that you do, it's hard to come back from. Like I bought my first business class ticket. Actually, I took 3 weeks and I traveled around the world.
Okay.
And I spent the majority
like around the globe.
Around the globe.
Okay.
I head west and didn't stop until I got back. Yeah, 3 weeks. I was in the air for over 3 days.
Okay.
Majority business class.
Okay.
And then once you do that, though,
then you're screwed.
You can't go back. I get very uncomfortable and upset now when I have to fly economy.
It's like when you feed your dog steak and eggs and stuff, and then he can't go back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
So what was your flight path around? What was, tell me more about that.
Yeah. So the flight path was, from here,
Yeah.
I did the normal Satu route down to Yellowknife.
Yeah.
Then down to Edmonton, over to LA. From LA down to New Zealand over
And
to...
did you spend like 1 or 2 days in these places?
So I actually spent the majority of my time in New Zealand and South Africa.
Okay.
I was in New Zealand for a wedding, South Africa with friends.
Okay.
Yeah, so, yeah.
And then why come back east if you could just go...
Well, because at that point, after I went to New Zealand, spent some time there, did the wedding, my friends who were in South Africa said, come over here, let's have fun in South Africa. Okay.
Perfect.
So then let's continue. So we did, and then at that point...
it's way closer to you.
Now we've already gone.
So it wasn't intentionally a trip around the world.
I guess it was and it wasn't.
Okay.
Once the itinerary started with the wedding, I found out directly after that some of my friends would already be in South Africa, and they were like, since you're going to be in New Zealand, well, they were kind of like, come on over anyway.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is going to work out perfect. So I went from New Zealand up to Singapore, over to South Africa, spent some time there. Up to Dubai.
Like a week in each place, more or less?
Probably a week in New Zealand and a week in South Africa, and then everywhere else is like 1 to 2 days.
Yeah. Oh man, what a cool trip.
That was a neat trip. Yeah.
I haven't gone all the way around the globe. I've gone to Asia and then back, and then I've gone to Europe and back, but never passed there.
Yes.
Wow, that's wild. All right. So why Norman Wells? Well, other than your job, what do you love about here? Because obviously, like, there's all these experiences that you can have outside of here, but there must be some kind of a draw to come back to this little place.
There was definitely a draw. Like in the very beginning, when I finished my flight training, I knew that I wanted to go somewhere unique, but I knew that I wanted to stay in Canada. Because there was chances to go to other places. Yeah. Of course, I could like do a U.S. license or something, but I knew I wanted to stay in Canada. But I wanted to go somewhere cool, somewhere unique, not just the standard, and I don't know if really standard is the right word, but I wanted somewhere different.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, but why stay in Canada?
I don't know. I kind of knew I wanted to.
Okay.
Yeah, because I'm quite fond of everything that we have, everything that we do here. I love the country, and I also love the States and everything else. I travel there quite a bit, but I knew I wanted to stay in Canada.
It was home.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and at least for work, I just figured, at least try it out here first.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then if I didn't like
if it goes horribly wrong,
there's always the States, there's New Zealand, there's Australia, there's something, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Great.
Yeah.
And then when did you first hear about? Like, I feel like as a pilot, you always know that you can go up north. Like, that's like a pretty common thing, at least a concept that you get introduced to pretty early on.
It was back in my day.
Okay.
Back in my day, there wasn't this whole jump into Encore or Jazz or even WestJet or Air Canada. There was none of that.
I feel like it's a better flow to come to a place like this first before you go onto the bigger planes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You'll still hear pilots today who fly for the first time with a captain from the South, and you get to talking. And one of the first things that's brought up is like, where's your experience? Where are you from?
Yeah.
As soon as the word the North is mentioned,
you're hired.
It's not even that you're just hired. It's like now that captain or that first officer, like usually it's the captain, you're the first officer as you're upgrading, and that captain's just like, okay, I got someone in the seat that's seen the crap weather, been through the mess.
Yeah.
He's got that raw experience. Never seen or touched an autopilot, not afraid of anything sort of thing. Is
that the difference? Is it mostly that like pilots who fly up north have had more adversity and have seen more circumstances? Is that mostly it?
It's hard to say that for sure. I do know that it is easy to say that like when you do fly up here, a lot of what you do is on your own. And so
Or you're more self-reliant.
you are definitely more self-reliant, but you still face a lot of the same challenges. And so that helps build character.
Yeah.
Because down south, it's not taking anything away from them. There's still a lot of the same challenges, but you have blankets and blankets of departments and safety features. And we still have some of that stuff up here, but...
Yeah, but when push comes to shove, it's nice to be able to do it yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. All right. So you're in flight school. You're going, I'd like to go somewhere unique. Norman Wells is the place. Is that?
So Norman Wells was the place. And I can say like back in my day, it wasn't just as easy as, put your resume in or a couple of different places and you'd probably get a few different phone calls. I mean, I'd heard of kids around the same time as me or previous putting in resumes to like 12, 14 different places and not hearing anything.
Oh my goodness.
It was a bit dog eat dog back in those days.
Okay.
And that's saying something because it was even worse before then. So I harassed the chief pilot at the time for 6 months. Called him every 2 weeks.
And it worked.
Hey, how you doing? How's the hiring process coming? How are things looking? Are you doing any training soon? Hope my name's still in. I harassed him. And I think that's maybe what helped me land the job.
When I wanted to work at the summer camp I grew up at, because I had gone there for 18 consecutive summers, 7 by the time I wanted to work there. And same kind of thing. Every summer, it wasn't quite for 2 weeks, but every summer I'd write the boss a letter saying, in 5 years, I'd really like to work here. And then the next one, in 4 years, I'd really like to work here. And there's something to be said for that, though. Like staying on, being persistent and staying on someone's radar and it just showing that you're actually interested because as someone who's like a manager now, the aviation's a little different than the industries that I've worked in, but I almost prefer to hire for character and then teach the skills than hire for the skills and have a wrong fit.
Yeah.
And
that makes perfect sense. Whereas where a lot of what we get first is all skill based.
Yeah, like I feel like aviation resumes are like so different from a typical resume. It's like mostly just like a list of what accomplishments.
A lot of similar. There's a lot of similarity.
Okay.
And that's why you have to look for what stands out because like when you see a brand new pilot at a school, they all have the same stuff. Totally. They all took the same course. They all have the same hours because that's like when you take a course for flying, like there's nothing really special in the sense of like someone's not going to get 400 hours and this guy's going to get the regular 205. It's like, no, you got your 205 or 250 hour pilot. He's got the CRM course, the safety course, all these. He's got all the same thing, but then so does this pilot and so does this pilot. So you actually are looking for, they've got all those things, which is great. So now we are looking for some of the, so you were part of this program or, hey, you were a leader in this, nonprofit or you were running this course or you were doing something special. So I do look for that.
You need something that stands out.
You do need something that stands out, especially if you're going to bring someone up here.
Well, yeah, because you're also trying to weed out people who aren't going to stay.
Yes.
Like you don't want to put even a little bit of money into someone who's going to be here for one day.
And that's happened.
Yeah.
And no matter how hard you try, that's happened.
That'll still happen.
Yeah, it still happens. There are people that come up here and they have all the best intentions in the world and they get up and it literally takes them one day to realize that, holy, this is not for me.
So when you were harassing the chief pilot,
did
you have any idea what you were getting into?
No. No.
You just set your targets. North-Wright's the place.
North-Wright's the place.
And so why North-Wright? Like what stood out about it?
At the time, it was the diversity of the aircraft.
I feel like still. Don't you feel like
it still kind of is? Oh, absolutely. And even so, like, all we've really done is shifted. Like, we dropped maybe some of the smallest machines, but we picked up some bigger machines that we didn't have when I applied.
Which is even more of a sell.
Which is even more of a sell. So back in my day, I was like, oh, cool. They've got the 172, the 206, the Islander, the Courier, the Porter. I was like, oh, this is a playground for a pilot. So I was like, I have to. And so, oddly enough, North-Wright was the only place I applied for.
Nice.
And
all
in my head, all eggs in one basket. And
I feel like this is how you do things.
Yeah. And I just basically said, I'm not giving up till he hires me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 2 weeks later, he's like, fine, if you stop emailing me.
Every 2 weeks for 6 months.
Okay, 6 months later.
6 months later.
You broke him.
6 months later, he calls me. I'm working a shift at a building supply. I worked for a place called Ritchie's in New Brunswick. I actually was on a shift while I was putting myself through school. And then he calls me in the middle of it and he's like, so you got a few minutes for an interview? And I was like, no way. And kind of freaked out. I went to my boss. he knew what the gig was. He knew I was trying to get an aviation job. So I went in the back of the warehouse, found a corner, did the interview. I was pumped. I felt really good about it. And then I immediately called my friend Rosemary, who also, she was applying at the same job.
To North-Wright?
Yeah, North-Wright. Same time, same position, same everything. And
for 6 months as well?
Well, so she was actually in a course behind me. And I took a little bit longer than normal to get all my stuff done. I ran out of money, which was always a big
These things happen.
These things happen. So oddly enough, she was in the class below me, but she was also ready to put out her feelers, and she seen North-Wright and thought the same thing. This place looks awesome.
Yeah.
And so, of course, we're friends. I did the interview, and I felt really good about it.
Yeah.
So I called her up, and I said, guess what? I got an interview. And she's like,
but did you have the job yet? Or you
no.
Didn't know? Okay.
I was happy. So I called her. I was kind of gloating a bit. I said, I got an interview. She's like, yeah, so did I.
Damn.
I was like, damn. You know, I was like, Rosemary, awesome pilot, great resume too. And I said, now I don't know if I'm going to get this because hard to compete with some of the friends I had in college are all fantastic pilots.
Yeah.
So, but
to this day?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
To this, all still a lot of my friends from college are out there. Mostly, Air Canada, WestJet.
Sure.
Couple, yeah, but still all fantastic.
Very cool. Yeah. And did Rosemary get the job?
So, at this point, I was completely out of money, training done. I was mixture of like living with different friends, living out of my car or van, or I can't remember. I think it was an old Chevy Lumina at the time. And just like waiting for that phone call. And then it came one day. I was at a friend's place.
So what's the time difference between the corner interview and the phone call?
I think it was only a couple weeks.
Okay, not bad.
Yeah, not too bad. So I got the call. And chief pilot at the time was like, he's like, thank you for being patient. Thank you for doing the interview, the whole 9 yards.
It's
been long enough. He's like, so we'd like to offer you a position.
Nice.
Okay. Now I'm kind of really excited. So same thing. I graciously accepted. And then not that I was trying to be, gloating too much, but I did the same thing. I hung up the phone. I called Rosemary.
And habits die hard.
I said, called her up, said, guess what? I got the job. And she's like, yeah, so did I.
So you came up here together?
Yeah.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And then as soon as I said that, she's like, okay, we need to meet. I was like, okay, yeah, you're right. I was like, where? She's like, meet me at the Tim Hortons there by the Shell in Dieppe. I was like, okay, sweet. Went right there. We sat down. She got a coffee. And we just looked at each other and we were like, what the hell did we just do?
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And it's so far, like across the country, up north.
Yeah.
So different from anything you knew.
Yeah, so two kids we actually grew up 5 minutes apart.
Oh,
but didn't know it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Until you were in flight school?
Classic. I'm on the wrong side of the train tracks.
Yeah. Yeah.
So at where I grew up, if you were on one side of the train tracks, you went to this school. Mm-hmm. This side of the train tracks, you went to this school.
Okay.
Yeah. And so we grew up 5 minutes apart. Didn't even know
Never know each other.
Yeah.
That's
didn't meet
crazy.
till college, and now we're going to the same spot up in the north together.
So you show up here, and I guess it's been spoiled, but you didn't fly away the next day.
No.
No.
Didn't fly away.
And what were your first impressions? How old were you at the point?
So let's see. That was June 20 of 2010. I landed here. Mm-hmm. Or was it the 19th? It was one of the two. It was the 20th, I think. First impression, not the greatest.
Okay.
I got off the plane, got all my stuff.
Yep.
I came up Canadian.
Yeah.
Sat on the stairs.
Yeah.
Slowly watched everyone walk out. Next thing you know, because you know how fast it happens here, like doesn't take long for the airport to just zero out.
Yeah.
Empty.
Yeah.
Sitting there.
There's no reason to be there.
20 minutes goes by, 30, 40.
That's an eternity here.
Yeah, and I'm just sitting on the stairs.
What time of year?
Summer.
Okay.
Yeah, so
That's beautiful.
mid-June. So yeah, I'm looking outside, looks beautiful, but still, I don't know where to go, don't know what to do. And then finally, Rosemary shows up. I don't know how much longer than that, but she just shows up. They forgot that I was coming.
She had showed up a couple days
She was
before.
actually here before me, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
And then she was like, oh, my friend here.
Yeah. She's like, just apologetic, like, oh my God, I'm sorry, I forgot. I think it was her and a couple of the other crew. And so, but then they took me for a small tour, showed me camp, where to buy groceries. And
same now. Was the camp in a different place?
Oh, no, camp was the same place, but it was completely different.
Okay.
Yeah, it was.
You guys have renovated it.
Completely renovated it. Yeah. So that was a little bit of a rude awakening as well because, I mean, camp was camp.
Can I pour a little bit more?
Sure.
This is excellent, by the way.
Camp was camp.
Yeah.
And so the only room that was left at the time
Yeah.
was this room on the corner in between one trailer and another. But it actually didn't have any exterior windows.
Okay, so it was just dark.
No, it had windows out to the hallways.
Oh, that's so weird.
They called it the fishbowl.
Okay.
Because the more senior people could look in.
And you couldn't afford curtains.
I know. No, and I'm just like, well, you're kind of like on display.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely makes you question whether or not you made the right decision when you're kind of now on display for a bunch of people you don't know. And but I mean, like at the same time, I was like, it's an adventure. It's an adventure.
Yeah.
Calm down. It's an adventure, and then just sort of keep going.
And so were you like, how quick before you were completely sold? Like you're still here, so there was at some point when you were like, this is pretty sweet.
I was sold the first day on the line.
On the ramp?
In flying.
Okay.
Yeah, I was sold. My first day, not training, but my first day running on the flight line, I was sold.
And were you flying a Sched, or what were you doing?
I did a Sched and then a charter.
Ooh.
Yeah.
What good day?
It was, the Sched, fantastic.
Yeah.
And then came back, and it was just one of those really kind of, obviously not great in terms of, like from a social aspect, because it was we had just landed from the Sched, got a phone call that someone had passed away in Koval. Obviously, horrible.
Yeah, not the best circumstance.
Not the best circumstance, but of course there was some haste that was needed to be done because they needed to get an RCMP up to investigate the situation. So we ended up bringing a police officer up to Koval, did an investigation. We ended up bringing the officer and the remains back the same night. And I just remember being there and being like meeting a lot of people in Koval for the very first time, which they were like extremely grateful for everything that we were doing. There was so much respect, care, and so many different things, so many different emotions all happening at once.
Yeah.
And I just realized in that 1 minute how important our job was, and I was hooked.
Yeah.
Absolutely hooked.
Yeah, because outside of places like this, it's more of like a utilitarian vacation-y thing, right?
Yeah.
And this is, I feel like everyone who moves up here, at a certain point, it really hits you that like everything comes on a plane.
Everything.
To a certain extent.
Everything.
You know?
Yeah.
Like obviously there's the road and the river, but like most things.
No. My running joke is the only thing we do the same as anyone else is we brush our teeth the same. That's it. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you flew a bunch of planes and rose through the ranks, and then at a certain point there must have been an inflection point where you decided to kind of like cross the staff management threshold.
Yeah. There was a bit of opportunity after the original plans didn't go through, and obviously one of the greatest things you can do is hire within when an opportunity presents itself.
Well, people know the system, right?
You know the system, you know so much, and so someone was actually training for the position for operations manager, but then plans sort of fell through, things change, life happens, and so and the person who was doing it at the time was already planning on moving on with their life on to the next step. So then now there was a bit of a crunch to find a different replacement, and I sort of put my hat in to say, hey, I think I can handle this, and that's basically what happened.
And I gotta know, how long did Rosemary stick around?
So Rosemary stuck around for quite a bit because she was captain on the 1900.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
And no, she's still.
And you guys didn't have 1900s when you first showed up, right?
Not when we first showed up.
Okay.
No, they were purchased after the fact.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So she was around for a while. She still has a bar here. Like,
oh yeah.
You ask some of the other like management teams, like Sue Traver, anyone like from the company, and Rosemary is still like, oh yeah, like that. She set a bar here.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very.
And
very
now
cool.
she's.
Yeah, what's she doing now?
I think she's captain at WestJet. Man,
okay.
Sorry, Rose, if I got that wrong.
Wicked. All right. So, management. Living in Norman Wells. Mm-hmm. What are some of your favorite things to do in town?
So I did have a Skidoo, although I sold it. That was always fun. I still have some toys left. I always love heading up to the gun range when it's available. That's always fantastic. I always try to keep myself busy with projects. I've been a part of Dead North Film Festival.
Yep.
Fantastic. In fact, I wish they would bring that back.
Yeah. No, that's too bad.
That was absolutely wonderful. Just something to.
There's a lot of buy-in, eh? When that was happening.
It was
from all over the place.
It was exponentially growing.
Yeah.
They were even because the terms of the Dead North was you just had to be north of 60. You had to film a certain. I think it was like 75% of your film had to be north of 60 degrees.
Okay.
There were people from Europe now submitting because
no
they
way.
were north of 60.
True.
Yeah, it was just.
It's such a shame that isn't still going on. Like I understand that organizing something that big like takes a toll, and like unless it's monetized in some way, it's like volunteer hours.
Yes.
So there's obviously some kind of like for example, like Brisket Fest. Like I do that every year, and it's awesome, and I want to keep doing it, but like it's not like it's no work. You know, and something like that would be way more. Yeah. Way more. Yeah. But at the same time, those kinds of things bring so much character to a place.
Oh, I know.
I feel like I just missed it. I just missed the train on Dead North.
I hope something similar comes back. I've also put on haunted houses in town. Yeah. Those I start like when I was doing those, I would be starting those in June.
That's how far you.
That's how far I would have to start planning, hiring people, decorating. Because at the end of it, I mean, like we were basically decorating an entire portion of a camp.
True.
Yeah, that had like.
Is there a year that stands out? Go finish your thought.
It was just basically the way that we had things designed too is like the perfect haunted house. You want to kind of go in one way and out the other.
Oh yeah.
So it kind of has to have like a one-way track.
It's a through house.
Yeah, it's a through house. Yeah. So. And what was the?
Was there a particular year that you're like, that was the pinnacle of my haunted house decorating or an event or something like that?
That's, a little tough because the first year was at the place that I'm staying now.
Okay.
Which...
Before you stayed there?
No. Okay. So as I was living there, when I decided I was going to try this, I said, okay, I didn't really have any other spaces to use. So I was like, okay, I'm going to use the house I live in right now. I'm going to see if I can get this done. Hired a team. And we started working on it, but like we have to start decorating like a month in advance. And we started decorating, and then I remember some of the people were commenting like, because the place started to look pretty gnarly, and everyone's like, "How do you sleep here now?"
And you're like a baby.
Yeah, like a baby.
It's more comfortable this way.
Yeah. I think because it was the very first haunted house, we were worried about whether or not there would be enough engagement from the town.
Yeah.
Because when it comes to scary things, it could be very hit and miss. And then we put in all this work. We got so many volunteers to help out. I got all the costumes, all the decorations. We ended up like taping it, and you know how big my deck is. We taped in the entire wraparound deck.
Oh my goodness!
With black garbage bag and filled it up with smoke and all sorts of stuff. And the amount of work that went into it paid off. It was fantastic.
Yeah,
and it just people didn't stop talking about it, and I think that's when I was like, okay, we can do this again.
Yeah.
So it was like between the first one and the last one, because the last one, same thing. Now we have this big camp. And we put
at camp.
We were at the old SRP camp.
Okay.
And we have this beautiful blank canvas
to decorate and not live in the decoration.
And not have to live in it if you didn't have to, sort of thing. And then I put more money into it. We got higher tech stuff, and then better masks, more people, and I was just like, this was same thing. Like I still talk to people today that are like, you need to put on another one, but it's a lot of work.
Yeah. I feel like with the more responsibility too, it leaves you less time to do those kind of extracurriculars. Mm-hmm. I feel like you have a talent for kind of this like social, I wouldn't call it social engineering, but it's more like just like hosting. Like you really put effort into hosting. And a lot of people don't.
I like hosting. I like it. I definitely feed off of other people's energy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And would you say that you're an introvert or an extrovert?
Ooh, definitely a mix of both, which I don't even know if that's allowed.
Well, I'd say the same.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how to describe that.
Like, you seem relatively introverted.
Yeah.
But you love hosting.
Yes.
You know?
It's
So
strange.
It is.
I will dip from a party, not a word.
But if I'm hosting the party.
Yeah. If I'm hosting, it's like, okay, once I hit the end, it's like, okay, we're done here, but I'll go through any length to make sure that people have a good time, and I love hosting. Mm-hmm. But I also, if depending on what it is, I could sometimes be like super excited or like, no, I'll stay in for this one.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Did your family have lots of gatherings? Like, where does the love of hosting come from, you think?
Same thing. We never did it.
Okay.
So maybe when I got a taste of it, and I was like, I really like this. Mm-hmm. And so there's obviously a lot that I didn't know or I had to learn along the way. But I've never been to a family reunion. We've never really hosted events. Mm-hmm.
What kind of things did you guys do growing up that were like entertainment kind of thing? Or was it very pragmatic?
I mean, yes and no.
Yeah.
Hard to say. Like we did go on some pretty epic family vacations. Like the stuff that we could, I remember piling all the kids up into, and I had 2 older sisters, 2 younger brothers. And then, so I remember the days where we would be piling all the kids into a van and then driving down to like Six Flags, New York, or just outside of New York, like Darien Lake. And like, that was epic to me.
Yeah, for sure.
And it still is. I still love road trips and stuff like that. So
this is a funny place to love road trips.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because if you are going on a road trip, it's a road trip.
It's either a road trip or it's nothing. Like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
We're gonna road trip up the Jackfish.
Yeah. It's a 6-minute drive to work with traffic.
Yeah. Since I got the watch, it tells me that, and I get in the car, it's like 9 minutes to work. It's like light traffic. I was like, no shit.
Yeah. Or it's a 17-hour drive to Yellowknife.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And being from Nova Scotia, we don't understand any of that. Anything more than 30 minutes of driving, that's a pain in the butt.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
it's just geographical. I've never been out east, so is it everything's much closer?
Everything is close in like, how do I put that? I mean, like, everything is pretty close. We don't do massive driving in Nova Scotia, so we've never, or maybe it's just my family, but we've never really lived more than 30 minutes away from like a major city.
Okay.
And so, the highways are fairly light, and it's not complicated at all. It's a very
not too much traffic either.
Not too much traffic. Even downtown Halifax is. I'm sure things have changed a bit since I moved there, but even so, they weren't super strenuous. And so, like, growing up, it was like anything more than 30 minutes. You're supposed to be angry. This is not cool. And then you go to Toronto, and it's like any less than 45 minutes in traffic, and then you're doing really good. And living in Alberta and the Northwest Territories, it's like sometimes you got to drive 45 minutes to 17 hours
to the grocery store. Yeah. So, do you look at the North as home now, or do you still look at out East as home?
I look at the North as home. Yeah.
And when did that change?
Good question. I know that now, like, because I love engaging with people, and not that Nova Scotia is not interesting, but as soon as you tell, like, especially if you're going traveling down south or like anywhere Caribbean and stuff like that, the second you say I'm from the North, all these questions start blooming. It's it's such an engaging topic.
Yeah.
And of course there's these like stereotypes that they've got to get out of their mouth first,
like,
right?
Are there polar bears where you live? No polar bears. Are there penguins? Wrong side of the planet.
Yeah. And then once they're done talking about that, then the real stuff comes out, and they're equally, if not more, shocked.
Yes.
Yeah. So is it true that like a can of Coke is $6? I'm like,
it is.
It can be. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the king size can. Yeah, $8. I've paid almost.
Do you buy it? No.
No. Yeah, I've seen a bottle of. Oh my God, what's the gate? I've seen a bottle of Gatorade go for $14.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, up and down some of the different parts I've been to.
Well, I've had those conversations where people are like, it's so expensive. Like, how do you afford it? And I'm like, do you realize that the food is here?
Yeah.
Like, it's actually here.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it's hard, like it's easy to be like upset at the high prices, but then there is like you can buy avocados here if you want, and that blows my mind. And it's thanks to pilots, frankly.
Yeah. Yeah. And it is crazy expensive. But you're absolutely right. Yeah, and you got to get it right away.
Totally.
Otherwise, you're gonna miss the boat for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. Yeah.
So you're getting married this fall?
I am getting married this fall.
Are you excited about that?
I'm extremely excited.
I feel like you're such an interesting like mix. You're like an introvert, but you love hosting.
Yeah.
And then you're like super into the like kind of like dark, scary, like kind of things. But then you're like a hopeless romantic at the same time.
That's a good way to put it. It confuses the hell out of my fiance.
I'm sure it does. You want to top me up?
Sure. Confuses the absolute hell out of my fiance.
And when did you guys meet?
So we met, it's just over 4 years ago now down in Yellowknife.
Okay. And what was she doing there?
Retraining to be a nurse.
Retrained to be a nurse. So
Yeah.
that's been quite the journey for her. Right?
It's been quite the journey, yeah.
Yeah.
Because when she came over from the Philippines, her education didn't count. So she had to
null and
redo it.
void.
Null and void. Start over.
That's brutal.
Yeah.
But now it's done.
Done.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's been quite the adventure. But yeah, you're absolutely right, because she'll just be like, so do you want to stay in and do something romantic? And I'll be like, yeah, cool. Saw 8's on tonight.
So the like horrific and the romantic blend at
They
a
can
certain
blend.
point.
Yeah, they can certainly blend, and that drives her wild.
I feel like you have enough sense though to pull out the stops at the right time.
I do. Yeah. Yeah. She just needs to specify if it's a night for her or a night for me. It's that's all.
I feel like once I heard your engagement story, it was like there's very few people that go to those lengths.
Nowadays, I would say so. Yeah.
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 And I that's one of the things I admire about you in terms of your commitment to make those kinds of things happen. And I don't even know how you come up with that kind of a thing, but I feel like you tap into the same energy when you make a haunted house as when you do a proposal.
With her, it's the same energy. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And what about her brings that out in you?
It's just because she gives me the same energy back. Like she puts a lot. She makes a relationship effortless. Like the amount of energy that she puts into it to make sure that things are just so easygoing and nice and spontaneous. And she also treats me, and just like sometimes I turn around and there's just something from her that is completely unexpected. And these are the things that I growing up I was like, these are what I need to do. Mm-hmm. So it was definitely weird to get that sort of energy back from someone. And so and it's not like trying to one up her, but at the same time, what I also love is there's a lot of things she's never done.
Okay.
I mean, I took her to her first haunted house, which, surprise, surprise, my greatest date ever. But she's never celebrated Easter.
Yeah.
We went to the world's largest plant convention in Texas. Like, there's so many things that she's never done before, and I get so excited to be that person to show her these things for the first time. Whether they're scary or fun or romantic. And,
sure.
Yeah.
No, it makes sense. It's like, well, I've had that experience having kids where you discover something again through someone else's eyes.
Yeah, exactly.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
That's very, very cool. And see, from my perspective, I feel like I hear about your gestures and I don't hear so much. I feel like you're more of like an exhibitionist or something like that than Lovely is. But I never hear her side of the story. So like, what kind of energy does she put into the relationship?
She, like I said, she's the same in the sense, like, she has planned events. She has, spontaneously, like, either brought gifts or has suggested for, like, certain dates. And like I said, she also just day to day, she brings in so much love to the relationship that it's just there's no more room for arguments or anything else. It just makes it really easy.
That's awesome.
Sure. Yeah,
that's so cool. I think that marriage is one of the most worthwhile endeavors that you can embark on, and then I'm a huge advocate of kids, but I won't push you on that one.
Yeah, it took me this long to at least make this leap, so we'll see how the rest of it goes. I know she'd be extremely happy with it. So
I am certain that they're in your future, and I cannot wait for you guys. It's so exciting.
I tend to agree with you. I think whether I want it or not, it's in my future. Yeah.
So, do you have like future plans? Like what? Like how do you see the rest of your life unfolding?
So, I mean, I love it here.
Yeah,
I do love it here.
it's always such a hard question after you've been here. I feel like people who have been here for like 4 or 5 plus years, it's like you really develop an attachment to this place.
You really do. Yeah. It's gotten to the point now where, I do take these nice vacations and I go out, or if I go back out east, or if I'm on the road training and whatnot, there gets to a point now, and it seems to be happening faster and faster, where I'm like, I can't wait to get home.
Yeah.
I like how peaceful this place is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think maybe it's just a mixture of like getting to that age, or, there's only, you go out and I have these big plans to go out and have tons of fun. And then I'm just like, sometimes I just can't wait to get home and relax a bit.
Well, for the viewers, like we live on the same street and there's 4 houses on the street.
Yeah.
And it is quiet 98% of the time.
Oh my God, yeah.
And the other 2%, Kyle's standing in your yard with a glass of whiskey, playing music from his house that you can hear.
Yeah. I'm actually surprised you can't hear some of the movies as they're playing.
Yeah, me too, honestly. Yeah. I feel like, it's totally fine.
Yeah.
This is how quiet it is where we live.
The summertime is just a different vibe, too.
Oh my goodness.
It almost needs it. I mean, like, I do love that peace and quiet. Like, you can just be out on the deck 7:00 in the morning and you can hear the river.
Mm-hmm. In the summer.
It's just just beautiful. And then sometimes you need a good jam on. I mean,
sometimes you need a good jam on. Usually past 3 in the morning. Okay, so romantic, finer things. You collect alcohol. You collect scary experiences. You facilitate them for other people. What are some other of the things that you are? I feel like you are into more things than most people. Like you have more of a plethora of like avenues that you like to dabble in than most people. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'd say. Oh, I want to go ahead and knock this thing. Yeah, I'd say.
What are some of the others?
Well, let's see here. I do have a collection of. They're called Undead Teds.
Okay, yeah. Tell me about these.
Yeah,
things.
So these are only made in one spot in the world, over in Europe, and they're essentially they're just like a very
creepy teddy bear.
Very creepy teddy bear. They're like the softest, cutest teddy bears with like human like teeth and claws and like exposed bone and.
I'm still confused about how he acquires human teeth.
So,
do people consent for their teeth to be pulled? Or?
I don't know. I don't know the full story on these bears, how they're made, where they come from.
But you have the documents to prove that they're real.
I have documentation that comes with them. Now I just leave the rest to the imagination. But they are very disturbing
and
looking.
Have they increased in value? Do you feel like it's been an investment?
It's definitely an investment.
Yeah.
Yeah. There is, as far as I understand, there is only one artist. And now I don't know if he has kids that are going to carry this on.
Okay.
But this is as far as I know, this is one person in the UK that is making these things. And he only puts them out for sale maybe once a month.
Okay.
If not once every 2 months. And
so you must be like up there.
In terms
of the collectors.
I think I may be the biggest collector in Canada. I might be in Canada, yeah.
But you know of bigger collectors?
Oh, yeah. At one point, he had a tracker online that showed you where the biggest collections were, like where they were. Like he didn't give out names or any personal information, but you could see there's 13 bears like here in Texas or 25 bears up in New York. And I was like, okay, all right, those are nice numbers. And then like just this bubble up in the Northwest Territories. I've got somewhere between 20 and 40. I can't remember.
That's wild.
Yeah.
And do you know what the biggest collection is or
I don't.
Yeah, okay.
No.
But they're all handcrafted, right?
Every single one.
And they're all unique.
They're all, even if there was 2 bears that looked alike, they're not
different.
Well, they're not going to be the same.
Yeah.
These are like all hand brushed, or like all the blood is, everything's put on by hand, and Yeah, so they're fantastic. But I've become such a big collector that if I see one that went up for like either auction or it went up on the page and I couldn't grab it fast enough, if I'm like, can I get one just like it? And he'll be like, for you? Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
He knows you.
He knows me. He knows me.
You gotta go visit him.
I really do. I really do. Yeah, that's in my future plans.
Yeah, I feel like at this point you deserve a tour of the workspace
Of
or
course.
something like that. That's very, very cool.
Yeah, of course.
Man, okay, they're disturbing.
They're extremely disturbing.
But I love that you have so many of them.
Yeah, me too. I'd like to put them out and display them, but it's...
Hey, you need like a glass case or
Yeah,
something.
I need something nice.
Something like that,
Yeah.
I gotta come visit your house once you build a house because I feel like it's going to be an eccentric place.
So I did mention to the builders I would need something for these things.
They're like, what do you mean teddy bears?
Yeah, then they were. I showed an example, and they're just like, okay, we can work with this. I said having something built in would be fantastic because then I don't have to go and buy something. So yeah, I would just take a wall.
Have you started building a house?
I haven't, no, but
okay.
I have at least for now, I have decided on the builders.
Okay.
And I've met with them several times. I've gone over the plan. So
yeah. what's the pull to go back out east? Presumably you want to build a house back out east.
I do want to build a house back out east. I already own the land.
Okay.
I think the only issue where we haven't quite pulled the trigger. I mean, obviously we have the wedding this year. And then it's just like everything with the company, we're growing and there's so many things that are changing. I'd like to know that, before I pull the trigger that, just to see where things are heading here.
Sure.
And because if we continue to get bigger, we're going to eventually, we may even outgrow this place. So it's just,
sure.
Yeah, it's just hard to say whether or not putting all the money into a house at back out east is a safe option when.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, I feel like you have such a, career going here and such opportunity here that like it feels like out east is so far away.
It is, yeah.
And that's why I asked, like, is the north home or is out east home? And the way you think about that.
Yeah.
Do you still have a lot of family out east?
Everyone.
Yeah.
I'm the only one that left. Period.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Like my family's in Mexico, but we left Ontario.
Yeah.
Right. So like it's not like I'm the only one who left.
Yeah.
Like I've kind of been thinking about it, and one thing I admire about a lot of people like about the Sawtooth is from the people who are from here. There's such a connection to place, and I feel like homeless to in some way. Like I feel like I've traded my sense of home for an ability to like make anywhere my home, or like where my family is my home.
Yeah.
And I don't know, but like it's interesting to be like the only one who left. Like when you were like, I'm moving out west, up north. Like, were your parents like, why?
Yeah, my mother was devastated.
I'm sure.
Devastated.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
And all your siblings are still out east?
They're all out east. I mean, the second closest, I guess, would be the next brother down, Christopher. He's in the Navy, so sometimes he will go around the world 6 months at a time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a pretty big.
But they're all still out east. Yeah, all of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you must be torn.
I was excited. My mother was torn.
No.
Now.
Oh,
yeah. That's. I mean, the toughest part about being here, obviously, is like now I have nieces and nephews,
sure.
and I've missed so many birthdays and so many kind of events that are happening back home, and that part's tough. So there was a lot of sacrifice coming up here.
Yeah. And
so the hope is to eventually get back home, but I think we're still a couple years away from that. And
sure.
There's really not a rush.
Yeah. Well, a lot of these things are self-inflicted or perceived and not real.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I need to get back for X and such thing. And it's like,
yeah,
you got to kind of see how it goes, Yeah. And is Lovely in a similar boat? Like her family is still in the Philippines kind of thing?
Yeah. Yeah. Her family's in the Philippines. So, I mean, and the nice thing about like her career, she can work anywhere in Canada. Yeah. So she's set. So she's sort of in the same boat with me. She also very much loves the Wells. So we're not really in a super duper rush, but I mean, life also has a way of just delivering packages that can just change the whole dynamic. Yeah. So you never know. Like if kids are in the picture here soon, then it'd be nice to have them sort of experience what I experienced in terms of like growing up in the schools.
Well, here is a pretty awesome place to start raising kids.
Yes.
I think like, little kids, the way I always think about it is like little kids, it's like Norman Wells is as big as they can handle.
Yeah.
Like Riley's like, there's the Northern, there's the community center, and there's the Legion. That's all she needs to know.
Sure.
And like her world doesn't need, and the school or whatever, but it doesn't really need to be bigger than that. So I think, and then also like, I love that the kids can just go outside and like play in the yard, and it's just like chill, or
I do like that. I like that there's a lot of nature, a lot of being outside. The kids up here do play with each other, which I really do appreciate. Mm-hmm. Do you think do you think there's maybe, are they missing out a little bit with some of the more interactive things that you could do down south?
Not yet. I do feel that like we want the kids to have extracurriculars, opportunity for extracurriculars, if they want to swim competitively or dance competitively or whatnot, anything like that.
Sure.
We really want them to have those options. So like we do need to decide when that happens. Mm-hmm. And Riley is starting to get to that age. Yeah. But she's right now, like, we feel so blessed because like Leanna is Riley's teacher. And it's really hard to like that's such a beautiful thing, and they get to spend all day together and whatnot. But I think Norman Wells is such a great place to have young kids. I think it's such a great place to have young kids.
I think it would benefit from a few extra programs if there was a way to do it.
Oh,
like,
certainly.
I know all my nieces and nephews are in martial arts. They love it. Dance classes, piano.
All that is like the biggest. The hardest part about living in a small place is all that kind of stuff. Yeah. As an adult, I'm like, whatever. I don't need to go to karate lessons. Like, I can buy a quad or whatever. Like, it's a good time to sit here with my friends. But for kids, it's different. But Norman Wells is an awesome. It's an awesome place, and it is. There's so many incredible things around here. And then the other thing that I love about it that I feel like you've taken like full advantage of is if there's something that you want to do, people will join in. Yeah, that's true. And I feel like that isn't as leveraged as it could be here. Like there's a few people that do it, and these things happen, but like if you have an idea, there will be somebody who says, yeah, let's do it.
People need engagement. People need something up here. And you're absolutely right. Like if someone's got a dream and the ability to do it, people will get behind it. Because this place needs some excitement. Like we used to, there's things that I don't really see anymore. And some of it, it's okay that it's gone. Some of it, I'm sad that it's gone. Like, like we used to have what was it called? The mud bog.
Oh yeah. That feels like, how hard is that to plan?
That's not, and listen, I get it. Still, you have to have the organizers, you have to have sponsors, you have to have the whole 9 yards. I get it, but it's like the town liked that, and that was a cool thing. And I feel like we have the ability to do more stuff like that, and I think people would be excited. But it's and I know like post COVID, it's getting or it was getting harder to get maybe volunteers or get people behind it. Maybe that's what's missing, but. Yeah, but you're absolutely right. Like these ideas, people will get behind it.
Oh my God, and they'll come. Like with Brisket Fest, like the first time I did it, I was like, I'm so excited. Originally, we wanted to do it in my front yard just with our friends. Sure. And then we were like, well, we should invite everyone from the town for sure. Yeah. Yeah. And then we didn't have enough meat.
No, now it's blown up, and now it's like a big thing, and I love it.
We raised $10,000 last year. It's crazy. Yeah. Like it's blown my mind. Yeah. So if you're in Norman Wells and you want to throw something, do it, because people will definitely come. And
I can't do it this year, and I'd hate to
promise and
to promise and not deliver. But I feel like Norman Wells needs another haunted house.
Yeah, can you commit to one more haunted house before Newhook leaves Norman Wells?
I think I could safely commit to one more.
Cheers to that.
Yeah, cheers to that. I think.
I feel like you're gonna have to start decorating a year and a half in advance.
I definitely have to get a plan together. But I've got the venue.
What about that big red abandoned building in the middle of town?
Big red abandoned building.
Yeah. Like by the school, there's like that 2-story building.
Oh, really?
There's nothing going on there.
Oh, really? Yeah.
I'm sure that would be a nightmare.
Well, I still got the perfect venue. It's just all about getting the volunteers and getting the stuff together. But it's completely possible.
It's totally possible. Yeah. And how many decorations do you have now? Like, do you have like a whole?
So when I thought I gave it up, I sold a lot.
Oh no.
Yeah, I sold. But now, I mean, the nice thing is like most of the stuff I sold, I can get it all back. Sure. And then and then I did some traveling. I went to go check out some really cool haunted houses, and that's just re-inspired me to with more stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think, like I said, I don't want to promise and not deliver, but I feel like I think I could get one more in. Yeah.
All right. A tentative.
I'm out this year, but I think I could set things up for 2026. I really think I could.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's enough fresh blood around here now that people, I think, will be excited to volunteer and help.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, once you've done it once or twice, it is hard to keep putting that same energy into
it's
it.
a lot of effort. Like, the cleanup alone is almost as much effort
Especially when there's blood everywhere.
the, like, corn syrup. Like,
Yeah. It's just brutal to clean. Yeah.
I guess I'd like to close out with North-Wright because it's such a focal point of your time here, and tell me what you love about the company, and kind of what, there's something about it that has inspired you and inspired you to kind of put your life energy into it. So yeah, tell me more about that and the way you think about it.
I think what I like and what I've always liked about the company is, we're from the very start, even like, because I've got to work for 2 generations of Wrights.
Yeah.
When I first came up, it was Warren, and then, Travis was, he was just getting trained, I think, on the Caravan, and then captain on the Twin, or first officer on the Twin, and, and now, so I feel like I've grown up with him, and he's a little bit, obviously he's the accountable executive, he's the president of the company, but it's funny because now growing up with him these past 15 years and like literally getting here, and I was kind of like where he was like a year and a half later.
He was slightly ahead of you.
Slightly ahead of me.
Okay.
In terms of like flying. Yeah, he was already doing certain things. He was already in the plane. But I don't consider myself being like too far behind him in terms of like where we were at, and then so I kind of grew up with him, and then so and then when he took over as president of the company, that that bond and everything just grew. I've never really felt like just an employee. It's always kind of been part of the family.
Yeah, like a partner in some ways.
Oh, like a partner.
Have you, when he took over, did that line up with you becoming management?
I do believe it was fairly close. Yeah, because there was a lot of things all happening, because I think I took over in 2015. I can't remember the exact date that he officially took over, because there was a bit of a transitional period, and same with my position too. So
sure. Well, I feel like it's hard to imagine a Travis era North-Wright without a Kyle Newhook.
Because there really hasn't been.
Yeah.
Like it practically happened, like you said, around the same time, and so a lot of key decisions have been close conversations with Travis, which is great. It's
what kind of trouble do you guys get into? The two of you.
Like I said, I look at Travis as almost like an older brother, and so with that comes the responsibility of being
an older brother, but the younger brother has such a different personality.
Exactly. Yeah. It's I have kidnapped him and taken him to Vegas, which I'm sure he'll appreciate for the rest of his life. It was absolutely fantastic. So we've been through thick and thin, and because we've survived a lot of natural disasters and COVID and some huge redesigns and new aircraft and new directions and obstacles, and my God, we've been through the triage center together with so many different things. So
that's very cool. It's obviously such a different domain, but I feel like I can empathize to a certain extent because of directing at the summer camp, and there was just like endless disasters that would come up. Like I was, what was I called? I don't even remember. It was a program director, relatively similar to an operations manager. And it was a lot of logistics and making the things happen. I feel like a lot of people don't, like, there's a big distinction between like saying something and making it happen, and then announcing something and not doing anything. And I feel like, unfortunately, the latter is so much more common these days. You say, this is what we're going to do. But you don't really, like, there's some kind of a disconnect between, like, what it actually takes to do something. And people who are operations managers understand what it actually takes to do something, or people who make haunted houses.
Yeah, fair enough.
So the world needs people like you. And yeah, man, cheers to that.
Yeah, cheers. Thank you.
Thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, of course.
This was really fun. And this tequila is maybe the best tequila I've ever had. If anyone has the chance to hang out with who's listening with Kyle, make sure he makes you a tequila old fashioned. Is that the right one? Tequila old fashioned.
Yeah, absolutely. I had my first one in Texas, and I'll never turn back.
That blew my mind.
Yeah.
It absolutely blew my mind. But it's been a pleasure, man.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Thanks for coming on.
Anytime.